I'm gonna make Hatterene a physical sweeper, and this is how. First of all, you're looking at this thing thinking, I mean, it's definitely not designed to be a physical attacker, and yeah, you'd be right. But that's what makes it fun, so I'm gonna go ahead and give it Swords Dance. After doubling our attack, then it's time to pull out Trick Room. And since it's got abysmal speed, it's now faster than literally everything. After the setup, unsuspecting answers get destroyed by Stab Play Rough, along with Psycho Cut. We sneak in Terra Steel defensively, paired with good natural bulk to live whatever we need, and the element of surprise can go a long way. It turns out that Hatterene does not have to be the one-trick support pony. So Hatterene is one of the most classic examples of a Pokemon that's literally designed to just support others and never really does much itself. Until today, because we're going to be snapping some necks with our weird hat arm, and that sounds kind of fun. If you're into that kind of thing, you should consider hitting that subscribe button. It's free, it only takes you a second, and before we jump into the match, I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, Surfshark VPN. Look, you're crazy if you don't already use a VPN, and Surfshark is the best in my opinion. A VPN is a virtual private network that helps keep you safe online, but it also has a ton of other benefits. My favorite would have to be that it stops price discrimination. When you book flights or hotels online, they're always doing some sketchy nonsense to sell you at the highest price. With the VPN on, they get no data and you can be sure that you have the best pricing. You can also access some sweet content from other countries if you turn your location to Japan, for example, and now you've got access to their entire Netflix catalog if your show options have been getting stale. The best part overall is that with a single Surfshark subscription, you can use it on unlimited devices and even share with the homies. They've also got Surfshark Alert, which gives you immediate alerts if your email appears in any data breaches, keeps your credit cards as safe as they can be, and safeguards your identity. Right now you can get a surfshark.com/Haydunn for an extra 4 months of Surfshark at their best price ever. For real, $1.99 a month is crazy. This offer is only for a limited time, so definitely grab that bad boy while you can. And let's go ahead and get into the battle. Alright, so my opponent is going to go ahead and lead off with the Tinkaton. I also have a big ass steel fella, long lost cousin, and Register. You know, we're probably both here to set up some Stealth Rock. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. Not necessarily worried about anything a Tinkaton can, touch me with here. The hammer is menacing, except when you're just basically a big hammer yourself. So they set up their Stealth Rock, of course, faster. I set up mine. I hip thrust him out there. And we've got a rocky situation. So at this point, I imagine they probably switch. I am just going to T-Wave. I figure Thunder Wave into something, whatever comes in, is probably not going to have the best time with that and should just help out the team in terms of, some speed stuff. So they are going to end up swapping. They decide to bring in Breloom, which is actually perfect, but it comes in looking like a Mario Mushroom, and the Paralyze is actually pretty helpful here. So this is obviously a bad matchup for me. While Registeel looks about like the least punchable Pokemon out there, it is in fact not going to enjoy any of that nonsense. So I decided I'm actually just going to swap right into the Hatterene here. I figure if they want to go for a Spore, I Magic Bounce it and it just doesn't do anything, and then also a Mach Punch or whatever it wants to set up, it shouldn't be able to work here. So I bring in the hat and we're just unsuspecting, just a chill, little wizard over here, definitely not gonna try to beat the hell out of you with our crazy hand whip and get kinky with it. So they do go for the Mach Punch with that priority, gonna do nothing, and that is perfect. I'm actually in a situation now where it's time to set up and get crazy here. It basically depends if I want a Trick Room or Swords Dance. I decided to go for the Trick Room first. I want to try to get the speed on my side, and I can maybe get something going defensively depending on what they bring in. So they're actually going to end up going right back into the Tinkaton. This little fairy is quite annoying because a Gigaton Hammer absolutely destroys me. And not only that, but also I can't really touch this thing offensively with my coverage. So I do set up the Trick Room, however, which is nice. And guess what, baby? This room is tricky as hell. And this is a situation where I actually can deal with this thing. I'm going to end up going for that Steel Terra because surely the Gigaton Bonk is incoming, and if I can just basically set up a couple Swords Dances in the front of this thing, I'm going to be in a good spot because, it can't really touch me with a Play Rough, and now Gigaton's not even going to do anything. So we now have the Axe on top of the hat. Call me the Sorting Hat, and your ass is about to get sorted to the damn Shadow Realm. So I do go for that Swords Dance, of course, faster because of the Trick Room, and that is not something you see Hatterene going for super often. We're sharp and we're steel, and a Gigaton Hammer doesn't even touch us, which is fantastic. So at +2 attack, we're starting to get there. This thing's base 90 is actually, it's kind of slept on. It can actually work as a physical attacker. Now we know also that this thing can't really knock me out in this range, so I'm going to go ahead and bust out another Swords Dance. I definitely need all the help I can get, and that's mostly because of this damn thing. They can switch into the Archaludon here, and this is another Steel-type bastard that is, pretty annoying defensively versus me. But now, with 2 Swords Dances up, we still have the Trick Room on our side. We're going to be faster. And we get to, I guess, try to see what this Hatterene is made of out here. So, there's not much of a better situation under Trick Room. 2 Swords Dances, it's time to start going for some play roughs. And Buddy is about to get whipped by the hat. I go for that play rough. It does just cleanly knock Buddy out right onto his ass in one hit. And that is actually kind of, you never really see this thing ever kill anything like an Archaudon. So, hey, I call that a win right there. And we're not done yet, baby, because guess what? We still have another turn of Trick Room. Now, what's bad about the Trick Room is they have the Breloom, who does have priority in the form of that Mach Punch that we already saw. And now being Steel type, that's a whole lot more scary. Good thing for us is it's paralyzed, does get fully parried, and now that allows me to fire off the Psycho Cut, the extra stab, and that is just going to obliterate the Breloom there. So that takes care of a pretty bit, 2 really huge threats out of the way. And after some leftover recovery, we're looking real healthy with the hat out here. Also, the Trick Room is going to go away, which, you know, it happened. Trick Room just never lasts as long as you want it to. And as it goes away, we're in a little bit of trouble here. But here's the thing. They don't have much that can knock me out in full range here. One thing they can do is bring in the Lizard, who looks like he's judging you over there. Boy, skinny as hell. And I feel like if they can get the Snipe Shot crit, it should knock me out. But it actually does not go through. The Snipe Shot doesn't get the crit, and that allows me to set up another Trick Room. It's not often you even get Trick Room set up once, but to bring it up twice, and I've still got all my Swords Dances, we're out here just becoming a true menace with the hat. So now I'm faster, and guess what? At +4, a Psycho Cut is going to easily do the job. We have that high crit ratio, don't even need it. That does destroy the Skinny Lizard, and now once again, we've got all the momentum on our side, especially with a fresh Trick Room, and after leftovers, we're chilling at half. So I'm feeling, I'm feeling pretty crazy out here. Now we get to see kind of what else they could possibly do here. Good thing for us, they have 2 dragons in the back. They have the Dragapult along with a Dragonite, and I'm just really hoping I can get those play roughs off. So first of all, they're going to go into the Dragapult. I'm actually just going to click Psycho Cut. I don't want to miss the play rough, first of all, but also a Psycho Cut with 2 Swords Dances should grab the kill here. Now, they are going to bust out the Terra. Luckily for us, however, it's just going to be the Terra Dragon. So if I was clicking the play rough anyway, doesn't really change much. And they really are in a spot here with 3 mons left that they can't really touch the Hatterene. So I just go for that Psycho Cut. It does just cleanly knock it out. We do get Curse Bodied, which does get rid of our option for the Psycho Cut, but it doesn't even matter. We're just out here destroying dragons and truly going where no Hatterene has ever gone before. So that takes care of the Dragapult, probably the frustration out of the Terra, and now they've got the 2 mons left. One thing is, Tinkaton is going to be their only option that can likely live in attack, but then they just can't really touch us in return. So they actually now are just going to bring in the Dragonite. It is not heavy duty boots, so it loses that multi-scale, and it is just going to get play rough. Yeah, we're just out here just showing off how rough this thing can play. That is going to kill the Dragonite with no effort at all. And after some leftovers, we're still just crawling our way back from being relatively hurt to now we're out here, we're healthy. It's amazing how much the little bite of an apple can do. And final mon being that Tinkaton, we do still have, 1 turn of Trick Room left. So while I can outspeed it, it's going to take likely a Psycho Cut crit, but then again, I'm actually disabled, so I'm forced to go for the play rough. It actually almost knocks it out, which would have been extremely satisfying. We take some Rocky Helmet, and then they decide to go for the Swords Dance here. That's just because, kind of as a last-ditch effort here, they go for the Swords Dance. I'm going to lose that Trick Room, and then they're going to be faster, and then, Hatterene basically dies. But I've got tons in the back that should be able to pull the game back, hopefully. So I'm just going to click the play rough here. They go for their own play rough, and they actually miss, which is honestly kind of just like the salt in the wound. I connect on my play rough, and this man has been absolutely done dirty by Hatterene. I swear, this guy will never look at this thing the same, and that's the body bag out of the hat right there, which is actually crazy. Call that a hat trick. So that was that was insane. Physical Hatterene can be a threat. We now know it can work. And you already know we're not done yet. We do have another match for you to see if we can potentially get this crazy thing to do some more. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Alright, so my opponent is going to go ahead and lead off with the Pecharunt. The weird new berry thing that everybody forgets exists. I, of course, have the Doorknob. And at this point, I am not afraid of anything this fella can do to me. They actually are going to go for the Parting Shot and get clear-bodied, baby. You cannot reduce my stats, which just makes it so that the Parting Shot doesn't work. And I'm able to freely hip thrust some Stealth Rock up there for the low price of free. So, at this point, there's nothing it can really do. I imagine they switch, and guess what? I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go for the T-Wave. imagining that pretty much anything is going to get paralyzed other than, what, like the Galvantula, but that's fine because they're going to bring in this dancing Beyblade fella. They go into the Hitmontop here, who tries to intimidate, and Doorknob's like, I don't know how many times I got to tell you, my body's clear as hell. You will not be touching my stats today. So I get the Thunder Wave off, which is great, slows his dance down a little bit, and I'm still, of course, I mean, while I'm physically defensive, I'm still a bit afraid of what the Hitmontop can do. But you know who is not? Is freaking Toilet Bird. I bring in the Pelipper here because I want to get some rain going. I also threaten this thing with a Hurricane. The rain's going to enable stuff like the potential for the Swanna, and they're just going to go for the Rapid Spin, which, you know, gets rid of my Stealth Rock that I worked so hard to set up, gives him a speed boost, but Buddy's still paralyzed, and while I imagine they're probably afraid of a Hurricane here, instead, I'm going to imagine they probably switch out here, and I'm going to go for the U-turn, which should give me a bit of momentum. They are going to pivot here, and they actually end up swapping into Abomasnow, who does turn my rain into snow, which is annoying. It would have still hurt had I connected on a Hurricane, but the U-turn at least is going to allow me to swap into whatever I want here. So I imagine Abomasnow probably there to set up something like an Aurora Veil, but I also know that it can't really touch the hat. I'm going to bring in the fake Gardevoir. I'm going to bring in the freaking Hatterene, who is ready to get some shenanigans going as always. So first of all, this time I'm going to go for the Swords Dance first, and they actually are like, yeah, I'm going to not stay in here. They don't really know what I'm going to do. The Swords Dance is going to come out as they actually switch into the real Gardevoir, and we're both a couple of Psychic Fairies that we, you know, have a really weird matchup. So traces my Magic Bounds, which shouldn't really matter, because I go for that Swords Dance, and now we got that immediate +2, and they're probably like, the hell is Buddy cooking over here with the hat? And, you know, while I know that they can't really touch me other than, like, decent damage with, like, a Shadow Ball, they actually decide to go for the Mystical Fire, which, you know, drops my special attack, which doesn't matter, and now I get that Trick Room up. So fully set up, we've got the Swords Dance, we've got the Trick Room up, and at this point, the hat is ready to just start poking some holes and stuff with our crazy Utter Hands. And now, the best thing I can do is go for a Play Rough here. They're going to end up swapping out. And one thing they can do is they can bring in Hitmontop, who, of course, is intimidating, but it is still weak to the Play Rough. And after a Swords Dance, I'm not really that worried about the Intimidate because, you know, I'm still at +1, and that's fine. So we whip him around a bit. That actually just straight up takes care of the Hitmontop. And they probably didn't expect that to just cleanly kill, but the hat is an offensive threat, baby. And we've got ourselves our first confirmed kill. So after some leftovers, we're chilling at full, and through the Trick Room, we're going to be faster than everything still. So the sack of the Hitmontop does now open the door for, of course, the annoying pain in the ass that this freaking poison type is. They go into the Petulant, but of course, you know, we're not necessarily super worried because I have that Terra Steel. Now, they're for sure going to go for a Malignant Chain. Would do a lot of damage. Poison Puppeteer, it poisons you and then confuses you, and this berry is just an asshole. So I go for that Terra Steel, and really hoping that I can bait in that Malignant. I am able to at least set up another Swords Dance. Listen, I want to go for more Swords Dances because Petulant has like a base 160 defense. This thing is literally unfair. So they do go for the Malignant Chain. I get myself a free Swords Dance, and now we're sitting at +3. So we get to kind of see what this thing is made out of in terms of how this is trained, if it's going to be physically defensive. I still have some Trick Room, and it can't really touch me. I go for that Psycho Cut, and sadly, it's not quite enough to kill. But look at this. They're going to go for the Parting Shot. This is the biggest brain play ever because I Magic Bounce it back, and that forces me to switch out here. I essentially now Parting Shot them, and now I'm forced to switch. So that's just like a convoluted-ass way to use a Whirlwind, and I've been bamboozled. So that now I have to switch in whatever I want. I decide to go back into Pelipper because I'm like, why not? I can knock this thing out with a Hurricane. And, you know, Abomasnow can switch in, but does it want to take a Hurricane? We're going to see. So they do actually just end up staying in. They let the Petulant go down. Hurricane takes care of it. And we're going to chalk that one up to Hatterene basically grabbing that one. The Parting Shot play was actually kind of hilarious. I forgot that that's what happens on a Magic Bounce. So at this point, you know, the Trick Room does go away. They can now switch into whatever they want. And in comes the Galvantula, who's probably been pretty reluctant to go for things like the Sticky Web just because of that Hatterene, you know, threatening that Magic Bounce. I imagine they probably are just going to go for a Thunder here. And if there's one guy that can take a Thunder, it's Dragalge. This thing is a beast. Assault vested already with max HP. We can take that. Thunder does nothing, and that's pretty solid because now I'm kind of free to click whatever I want here. I'm going to go for Sludge Wave. I am worried about potential for something like the Flygon to come in here and then set up on me, but they actually end up going into Gardevoir, which is kind of nice because this fella comes in, traces my adaptability, which is now going to give it some boosted damage on things like a Moonblast or a Psyshock or whatever. But the Sludge Wave, I'm thinking, hey, maybe I can kill here. It actually lives it, which is annoying. But this is actually, it's a very interesting matchup here because first of all, if they have the Psyshock, I die. However, this Gardevoir is the one thing I know that Hatterene can set up against well, so I'm actually instead going to go for the Flip Turn here. I imagine that probably doesn't kill. They go for the Psychic Noise, it's adaptability boosted, gets the critical hit, but I still live it because I just cannot die to special attacks, and now I'm able to get off a Flip Turn. So it doesn't end up killing the thing, which is kind of what I was looking for. I was like, okay, if it kills, that's fine, but if it doesn't, now guess what? Hatterene has the setup option and a little bit of initiative once again. So I can go right back into the Hatterene. One thing to note, it does have the Mystical Fire, but luckily in the rain we can take that no problem. And we should be able to hopefully set up this thing again. No more parting shot nonsense in the back from the Pecha Run. And also we're at full HP, so it's a whole new day for the Hat, and we're going to go for it again. So they actually are going to end up busting out the Psychic Noise. They don't end up switching here. The Psychic Noise prevents me from healing, so now I don't get leftovers. But it doesn't really do anything, and that's exactly why we want to try to set up against this thing. So I get back up my Trick Room, first of all. Trip Room, because we're out here tripping balls. The room's all crazy. And fast is slow and up is down, and we're under Trick Room, so we're feeling pretty good here. I'm now faster than everything they've got. And also, I have a position here to basically just grab a free Swords Dance. So that's exactly what we're going to do. At +2, we're looking real nice against their squad, barring any potential terrors. So now they decide to go for the Draining Kiss, which, you know, once again, doesn't do much. Gives me a little smooch. And the bad thing is the Trick Room turns, they're ticking away. So I got to get something going here. We are prevented from healing with our leftovers, which, again, doesn't really matter, but it's kind of just a funny effect of the Psychic Noise. But at this point now, it's time to start going for some damage here. And I know that, you know, Play Rough being neutral should be able to just easily grab a kill here, but they're going to actually swap. They're going to end up going into something else that wants to deal with it, which I'll tell you one thing is not that much. They want to go Abomasnow because at least while this thing can come in, it is going to set up the snow, gives it a little 50% defensive boost, and they have a shot to leave a Play Rough, which they actually do because of that damn snow, which is kind of sucks because that just, while I can at least outspeed and just grab the kill now, that's just another turn of Trick Room out of the way, and we are definitely on a timer here. So I go for the Psycho Cut just because I do not want to miss a Play Rough, because Game Freak is lying about that being 90% accurate, but Psycho Cut does it, and Hatterene once again grabs himself another kill, or herself, and now we're still set up with the Swords Dance, and we still have the Trick Room. So first of all, they're going to go Galvantula, and this thing is, I'm a little bit afraid of this thing being Focus Sash, and while it could hit me hard with the Thunder, I feel like I should be able to live it. So I go for the Psycho Cut. It is kind of, my fear comes true. It is going to be Focus Sash, which is annoying, which, I mean, most Galvantulas are, but they are going to now bust out the Thunder, and we actually are able to live, which is clutch as hell. And while we do live, here's the thing. Trick Room is going to go away. And looking at what they have left, Hatterene has potential to get that late game sweep. So what they have left is going to be the Galvantula. They've got the Gardevoir, and they have the Flygon. At this point in the match, my main fear is kind of that Flygon being able to set up and kind of reverse sweep here. So first of all, I'm going to end up bringing in the Dragalge here. I know that it's kind of just a sack switch, and I can maybe try to set Hatterene up against freaking Gardevoir once again if possible. So Thunder actually doesn't kill me because the Assault Vest is insane, but the Bug Buzz does the trick, and so, I mean, that's what we wanted anyway. I was looking for a little sack, but here's the thing. It's sitting at 1 HP, and while I don't have any priority, my team does not really enjoy electricity. I am, you know, kind of in a position here where Levity's going to be my best bet. I know they have the Bug Buzz, of course, but I'm actually max special defense, and I should be able to take one of them. Then I can finish it off with a Superpower or a Leaf Storm. I'm going to opt for the Superpower, because with Contrary, I can get myself an attack and a defense boost. And depending on how much the Bug Buzz does, it does a lot, but at +1 defense now, maybe I can do some stuff against Flygon. So I finish it off. Galvantula goes down. Disco Pants is out here at the old disco having a time. 66 HP, not great. Kind of have to use up the whole thing to just take care of the damn spider, but they're now down to 2 Mons left. So I'm now in a position where this is actually super interesting, right? I'm still super worried about Flygon in the back. If that thing just sets up a Dragon Dance, I'm kind of hoed. So they go into the Gardevoir, traces my Contrary, doesn't really matter. And here's the thing, I actually do not want this thing to die right here. I decide to go for the Superpower. Now, I do actually end up living the Mystical Fire, which is kind of wild because max special defense, but I go for the superpower knowing that it's not going to knock this thing out. And that's exactly what we want, because if I can get in Hatterene once again versus this Gardevoir, I might be able to set up a Trick Room. And if I can get a Trick Room up versus Flygon, then Hatterene can just pull the game back for us. That's kind of my thought process at this moment in time. Now, they finished me off with the Draining Kiss, which does give it a little bit of health back, and after some leftovers, thing looks kind of healthy, but it doesn't matter because, at least for a second here, I'm thinking this thing is kind of just setup fodder for the fella Hatterene. So, right now I'm thinking a few turns ahead. I'm mainly worried about, like, if I go into Registeel, then they bring in Flygon after that thing dies, and then it can set up on me, and then I lose. So I'm thinking Hatterene's kind of my best swap in here, but then I realize without the rain up, they have the Mystical Fire, and that is bad news because I am Steel type now, and I have gone and got myself in a little bit of a hairy situation. They are able to outspeed without a Trick Room, and a Mystical Fire, yeah, it just kills me. So I was thinking too far ahead, and guess what? I've hoed myself. The Mystical Fire does the trick because now I'm Steel, and while that's not great, I am still looking at this as like, okay, well, at least I tried it. It was worth the shot because I mean, I have both Pelipper and the Swanna in the back that should be easily able to just Ice Beam the hell out of the Flygon in the back, and then I just can win the game regardless. So I'm like, time to execute. I can bring in the Pelipper here, set up that Drizzle, and now I can go ahead and get myself some damage and then deal with the Flygon. So I'm going to go for the Hurricane, and I kind of figured either is going to be able to knock the thing out. The battle's coming down to it. They actually are going to Draining Kiss, which, smooch me right on the big old bill, but gives it a ton of health back. And while I obviously connect on the Hurricane in the rain, it actually is not gonna it brings it right back down to where it was, and I'm like, oh shit, that is actually that's not ideal. I should have clicked Weather Ball because I believe it does do like 15 to 20% more, which that's a miscalc on my end, but I should still be fine, right? I have the Swanna, I've got the Ice Beam versus Flygon. I also still imagine I can get out of this matchup with the Pelipper here. So at this point, I am going to go for that Weather Ball, thinking, all right, after a Draining Kiss, this is looking like it's the most special defensive Gardevoir ever. I mean, Weather Ball's supposed to do like 80% to the thing. I mean, every other Gardevoir, if it's a regular attacking one, that's what it does. So I go for the Weather Ball here. After it heals up, it does not even kill, which is some incredible nonsense. Definitely did not expect that thing to live through that, but I guess sometimes you have a max HP and max special defense Gardevoir that just tanks hits. Regardless, it can outspeed and kill me with a Psychic Noise. And now I'm like, oh my god, it got through the Pelipper, and now it's kind of down to Swanna to bring this one home, which is never something you want to say. But then again, I have the ability to live any attack from Flygon at full health being Swanna, so I still feel like we should be mostly fine. So Swanna comes in. We're looking nice and healthy in the rain. I can obviously outspeed here in a boosted Surf. Finally, we can kill this asshole with a special attack. Down goes the Gardevoir. So now we got ourselves a 2v1 match. I have the Registeel in the back. I've got the Swanna out, and all we have to do is get through the Flygon, which should be, at this point, I'm thinking, fine. So, yeah. In comes the Flygon. I'm thinking they can't really Dragon Dance here, and Ice Beam's going to be able to knock it out. And as I go for that, the game is coming right down to it. We've got a minute left on the timer, and then they bust out the Terra, which I had completely forgot about. A defensive Terra here is going to be able to allow it to live an Ice Beam, especially because it's Terra Fire, and that is worst case scenario. I totally forgot they still had the back pocket Terra, and this Flygon is going to be able to go for the Dragon Pulse. It does outspeed, but once again, I can live at least one hit from the thing. Now I Ice Beam the Fire type, and had I clicked Surf there predicting that would have been some god tier nonsense. But it does not happen, and now Ice Beam doesn't do anything. At this point, it can then just outspeed and kill me with the Dragon Pulse, and while the timer is clicking down from 20 seconds, all I have left is going to be Registeel, which is an interesting matchup because we notice it's a special attacking Flygon, so it probably has the Earth power, and Registeel can't really do much to the thing. So as I bring it in, the timer is just going to straight up end the match, which is incredibly annoying. However, while as the match ends and I have more health than them, it says I get the win, but I'm giving it to Buddy. He straight up came back with that Flygon, and I completely choked the game away. In hindsight, probably should have gone Pelipper in versus the Gardevoir to get the rain up before going into Hatterene to allow myself a better chance to live a Mystical Fire. Overall, some misplays, and hey, it happens. I just be messing around out here, and that was still an extremely close game that turned out to be a really fun one. So thank you guys very much for watching. I do appreciate all the support, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace out.